Breaking international news, Millennial Woes is the biggest Ethereum bull in the movement. He has 20,000 US dollars just sat in his public Ethereum wallet. 5.857 Ethereum. As the recording of this screenshot yesterday, a few weeks ago, this would have been worth 25,000 US dollars, by the way, but everything's tanked. 30,000 US dollars, 8.54 Ethereum total transacted through the wallet. I mean, what the flipping heck, Millennial Woes? I thought I was the biggest holder of Ethereum in the movement, having done well with Palantir this year, sold out, now invested in Ethereum, gone public with that in an attempt to share my little investment wisdom that I've learned over the last year and done well for myself with. But no, it turns out it's Millennial Woes, bro. Millennial Woes. Now, please don't call me a nosy Parker. This is all public information, and when people come rattling their donation tins in my face, then I am now naturally inclined to look at this stuff because it's what I'm interested in. So anybody can do this. You just take the public address, you go to blockchain.com, type it in. Let's do that. 0xA2A, 0xA2A. That's the public facing wallet. Everything on the blockchain is public facing, so it's in plain sight. Out of interest, let's look at the Bitcoin wallet then. 34xKDW. Here's that 34xKDW has 2,300 and change US dollars sat in Bitcoin. So, Millennial Woes is officially much more of an Ethereum bull than he is a Bitcoin bull. This is the type of information that I think is important to know about our leaders. This is what I'm interested in now, of course. And I'll be honest, it has raised Colin in my estimation dramatically by an order of magnitude, because I had fallen for this jobless grifter like hook, line and sinker, bro. I fell for this, and it honestly didn't buy well with me. I'm naturally a hierarchical person, and so this kind of begging routine really doesn't bode well with me. Call me hard if you like, but when this begging letter went around earlier this year, I mean, like, this is a personal post and a request for help. I hate asking, but it is now crucially necessary. I need to drastically increase my income. The truth is, despite Millennial and despite working full-time on Substack Aces, which many people praise, I make very little money. I mean, bro. Being banned from PayPal, etc., will have this result. I could bring back the gram, but I only made about $20 from each episode. I could get a normal job, but then I wouldn't have the time or energy for my movement work. Millennial would certainly not be possible. In short, projects and people need to be financially supported. I have been very shy about pushing this. Whenever I do, there are always some nasty people out there who make hay of it and claim that I am grifting, lying, etc. I've lost it. Here it is. As a result, I have wangled it for 7 years since losing PayPal and Patreon. I got by, but due to recent events, which I can't go into, it is now completely untenable. I really don't know what I'm going to do. If the situation were not desperate, I would not be putting out a public call. Things have to improve in a big way. Otherwise, I am going to have to drastically rethink what I'm going to do with my life. And he finishes off by saying, look, again, My situation is desperate. So look, bro. Out of interest, what do you think a financial advisor would recommend to you as a proportion of your wealth to keep it in the riskiest asset in the world, which is crypto? Well, the answer is less than 5%. So unless you are brain dead or have the biggest balls, the biggest testicles in finance, and you are the biggest Ethereum bull in the movement, then you would legitimately expect Millennial Woes to sensibly have 20 times this amount sat in safe assets, safer investments, such as stocks, index funds, whatever. So I'll leave you to be the judge of whether Millennial Woes is a very savvy financier, actually, or bro, if if things are truly desperate. So look, don't shoot the messenger here. Like I say, this has made Millennial Woes go way up in my estimation, because when I thought he was just like a jobless slob, then I couldn't respect that. That's just, that's my fail. That's my bad. But I couldn't respect that. I mean, look, on Millennial, we could have talked about this, couldn't we? Wouldn't that be a good conversation to have, to talk about Ethereum and to give some financial education to the masses? There's a lot of, this is actually one of my gripes, there's a lot of collecting of money on donations that goes on in the movement, in quotes, but very little giving back of financial education. I mean, I'm particularly thinking of this man who sold a course called Foundations of Economics to young kids for £350 each, and not a word of that was investment advice. And selling these courses enabled him to increase his wealth in proportion to his waist size, for instance. Look, I'm being harsh, aren't I? But the point remains, where is the financial education given back to the masses? A lot of collecting has gone on, very little giving back. And it's something that I decided to do at the start, recently, after gaining some success. I thought I had been very successful this year after selling out of Palantir, putting some money into Ethereum, because I believe in the Ethereum thesis going forward. But it turns out I've got less than Millennial Woes. But wouldn't it be a good conversation to have, to talk about the Ethereum thesis? I mean, give back to the people. Lots of collecting of money goes on, but very little giving back. And if you have money in public like this is all sat in plain sight. You could show people, here's where I am putting my wealth. Here's where I'm allocating my portfolio, like I started doing this year. I've been very successful. I told everybody, I'm being open about it. Here's how I did it. Here is where my current investments are publicly for you to see. Here's what I'm bullish on. So it turns out Millennial Woes is bullish on Ethereum too. Now, I mean, look, draw your own conclusions. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm not having a go. Like I said, it's gone up in my estimation. But to say like this to people, it's a good work if it works, isn't it? Help me to keep my Christmas lights on. And you have people in here, sending Millennial Woes their last £20. The last £20. I wish I could afford to donate more. Here's my last £20. Here's my last £5, Woes. Please do Millennial this year. Please, let's keep your Christmas lights on, bro. So, look. Anyway, I'm naturally interested in this kind of stuff. So when, like I say, when people come around rattling their tins at me. I'm just taking a look. It's all in plain sight. Here's Mark Collett. He was on with Zoom Historian, who's in the news recently on X, because somebody doxed him, unfortunately. Here's his Ethereum wallet, 0xB447. Let's take a look at if Mark Collett's an Ethereum bull. He's got 5,000 US dollars sat in his public wallet. Compare this to his Bitcoin wallet, BC1QZ. Here's the live wallet. This is Mark Collett's wallet. That rhymes, doesn't it? Mark Collett's wallet, BC1QZ, 16,000 US dollars in Bitcoin. So Mark Collett is much more of a Bitcoin bull than Millennial Woes, who's the Ethereum bull. This is the type of information that I think we need to know. This. What team are you on? This is what I want to know. Interestingly, about Mark Collett's wallet, the most fascinating thing I think is that he has not withdrawn a single dollar from this wallet since he started rattling the tin in 2021. Every single transaction is an incoming transaction. All the way back, bro. He's not withdrawn a single dollar. So Mark Collett hasn't needed a single dollar that's been donated to him in all this time. The same goes for the Ethereum wallet. Not a single dollar withdrawn. It's all still sat there untouched. So look, this is all very interesting stuff. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not passing judgment other than to say very savvy stuff. Millennial Woes is much more of a savvy financier than I ever gave him credit for. As is this guy, of course. 2 homes in London. You know, made off of selling courses on people called Foundations of Economics. Big gripe of mine. This, you know, you sell people an absolute load of shite when you could be selling them the secret to this kind of stuff. The secret to, you know, wealth appreciating assets for themselves. A lot of collecting goes on in the movement, but not a lot of instruction on how to grow your own wealth. It's something that I was going to do actually at the start of SJ James. If I do it this year, I was going to say, look, I've been very successful this year. Don't donate to me. Donate to yourself. Go and buy yourself some Ethereum. Buy your kids some Ethereum, and we can all be Ethereum millionaires in 2035 together. Turns out I had less Ethereum in my wallet than Millennial Woes. Who's going around saying, my situation is desperate, bro. Help. In fairness to Woes, by the way, he did say here on you know, next to the number 2 on that top line, the problem isn't the rent. I can afford that. So look, although the tone of the letter was that I am utterly destitute, desperate, I can't keep my Christmas lights on, it's not going to be a millennial this year unless you people cough up. He actually told you he can afford it. So he didn't lie. We'll hand it to that. He didn't lie. I guess if you've look, I'll leave it there. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for talking about this, but it's what I'm interested in. Don't shoot the messenger. These are my interests now. Thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate you.